Hello and welcome to Jerry's Live. My name is Michaela and I'm going to be your host today. Before we jump in and get started, just so that you are prepared for buying anything, check out that Jerry's Live code, JL345. Pop that in our JerrysArtarama.com website and it will show you everything that we are using tonight. All right, with that out of the way, let's jump in. I'm very excited. My favorite thing about art is color, and that's all we're gonna talk about today is color and using that color to create a specific mood. Now, I have chosen a reference photo and I made a sketch, and I'm going to play around with different color combinations using the same sketch before I jump into my final. That's going to help me with these color studies and finding the right mood, the right color combination for this final drawing. Now, I could not decide on a mood for this drawing. So I asked you guys on our Jerry's Live Facebook group. I put out a poll with multiple different moods, and I wanted to pick the top 3 voted moods. And those were Ethereal, Whimsical, and Summery. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump in and try and find the perfect color combinations for those 3 moods. While I am doing that, we're going to decide which one of those 3 moods we like the most, and that's gonna be the one that I do on my final drawing. Now, for my paper, I have the Fabriano. I have the Tiziano paper pochette, which is basically a little sample of their colored papers. And of course, I'm using the SoHo Slim Soft Pastels for my pastel part of the drawing. I love this pochette because it has a bunch of different colored papers. I can kind of decide what I want the color to be poking through my pastel. And I also printed my sketch onto these papers so I didn't have to draw the same thing over and over again. It just kind of makes it a little bit easier for these color studies. So I printed it on 2 different papers. I'll probably just use one over the other, but I wanted to show you the color paper, how it makes a difference in your final drawing. So I'll start with these, and once we finish out our color studies, I have a bunch of different color options with my sketch on all of these colors. So that will be fun deciding which color paper we want to do our final drawing on. But let's jump into our color studies. I'm gonna move my sketch out of the way. And we're going to start with Ethereal. When I'm choosing my colors, I choose my mood and I think of things that that mood reminds me of. So Ethereal kind of reminds me of perfection and light and angels. I just like to make a list of everything that makes me think of. And once I think of more and more words, those words can lead me to more and more colors. So here is my SoHo Slim pastel set. I love these so much because they are really nice and thin. They have really nice crisp corners for those fine lines. And this set of 72 has an amazing range of colors. So this is definitely going to be fun experimentation. So starting with Ethereal, like I said, I think of light. So I want to make sure that my darkest color is kind of like a middle tone. I don't want to go too dark with this. And I'm probably going to use my stark white. So I'm going to start by picking out some colors, and I'll play with different variations and weights of those color combinations. So I really think yellows and maybe like a light blue. So I'll go through and pick these colors. I also don't want to go super saturated. When I think of perfection and ethereal, I think of really soft and muted. So I don't want to go for like this punchy yellow, I'm gonna go for more of a soft yellow. And I also really like this soft orange. I also like to pick a color, every color from the rainbow, even if I want to stick with just yellows. I think of, if I want a green, I think of a really light muted yellow green. I don't really have that in here, but I do have this really nice light teal color. And I also like this really light kind of bluer teal. And I'm gonna stay away from purple, have a little bit more of an orange, and these really nice soft muted browns. And I think this brown right here is going to be my darkest color. That's going to be my blacks, and I'm going to go in a range of this. Now, when you are changing the colors in your picture, so for this reference photo, you can change all of these colors to anything you want as long as you stick to the value. So your lightest colors are going to stick to your lightest reference photo colors, and your darkest colors are going to stick to your darkest reference photo colors. So now that I have these colors that kind of remind me of ethereal, I'm going to go in, starting with my darkest, go into those darkest shadows in my reference photo. And I'm just laying this in really quickly so I can see how these colors work together. Because you can see them in a row, same size block of color, and they look beautiful together. But then maybe if you have more of one color and less of another color, it creates a different type of mood. So these color studies are really important when you're doing something that has to do with a mood. You can play around with how that changes with the colors that you're using. Now there's not a lot of black in here, but I'm just gonna lay this down in a few spaces. Really dark over here. And almost the entire underside of this canoe is pretty dark. I'm not going to put this in my trees, I don't think. I want to keep this more in my blues and greens that I have here, so I have a little bit of contrast. Now, I'm really excited about the sky, so I'm going to jump into the sky. I'm not going to start with white, but I'm going to start with my really nice cream, and I'll end with the white if I need to lighten something. So I'll start adding my lightest color into my sky, which is almost completely white in my reference photo. And then it reflects down into the water. And it kind of gradiates into a darker color. So I'm going to transition, I think, into more of an orange, since I have that orange shadow. Go into a nice medium orange for this color scheme. And then I'll shift into maybe this orange here. Alright. Now I'm already accumulating some dust on the surface of my paper. Be sure not to blow on it. That's going to allow those particles to float in the air, and you don't want to be breathing that in. So I always just pick up my paper and tap it off. You can also work at an angle that's a little bit further than 90 degrees so that as you're working it just falls as you work. I enjoy working flat down on a table, so that's why I have to pick it up and tap it off. Alright, now that I have that gradient, I want to lighten up the sky just a little bit more so there's more of a gradient at the top. Alright, and now I wanted that contrast to be in the mountains and in the boat. So that's going to be where I add in that tealish color. And again, there's a little bit of a gradient in the mountains as well. So I'm going to have the darker of my teals at the top of the mountain. And it gets lighter as it gets closer to the horizon. I absolutely love the gradients in this reference photo. Which my wonderful moderators, Amanda and Emmy, have that reference photo for you if you want to take a look at it. Now I'm going in with my lighter, kind of more blue teal, creating a nice gradient that reflects into the water. And again, I have that white if I want to go even lighter into this gradient. Just lightly mixing that in. Okay. So now I have the greenery, which is another color shift, but I'm going to play around with that. I might go more into, I think I'm going to lean into that orange. I really like that this is mostly orange and yellow. So I'll probably go in with my light orange first. Block that in a little bit. Go in with my next orange. And it's okay if you have something like this and you cover up your line work. This is really just seeing how those color blockings work with each other. Really like this terracotta color. Probably use this for my darks in the greenery along along the horizon here. Alright, and there's a reflection of the tree down here. And maybe I'll add in some of this blue into the highlights of my boat. I like having that reflected down. It'd be kind of nice to have it blend into that orange and create more of a neutral brown. Alright. And then I really like this yellow. I wanted to pop this yellow in to where those really nice bright green highlights are in this greenery, to add just a little bit more interest along this area. Alright, so that's probably good enough to see where those colors are, how they look together. I like to do at least 2, if not 3, even if I'm happy with the first one. I like to see what different combinations and different choices will lead to. So I'm going to lean into less green this time and more monochromatic. So I'm going to take out these really nice teal colors, and maybe I'll go just a smidgen darker and add in maybe a nice brown. And a couple more variations of yellow and orange. Okay, so a slightly different color scheme. Still want to keep it in this realm of like perfection and lightness. So I probably won't use too much of that brown because to me that feels a little muddy. I'll probably just use this for those blacks in my picture. So again, just blocking in where I see those color shifts. Just putting this into the water, into the shadow. We have a question?
Yes, MJ Pete on YouTube is wondering, how soft are these SoHo sticks?
I'd say they're pretty soft. I really don't have to put down a lot of pressure to get the pigment to come off. And if I do put down a lot of pressure, a lot of pigment does come off. So you can really control the amount of pigment, and I can probably just draw on the back of my hand there really softly, and it comes off really easy. Great question, thank you. probably pop this into the horizon here. Have another question?
Yes, can you remind us again what paper you're using today?
Yes. So I am using the Fabriano Tiziano, and they have a really nice sample pack of 9.5 by 12.5 sheets. These are really nice to make your color studies with because they also make 10 packs of single colors of 20 by 26 sheets, so you can work any size you want. I mean, in that size or lower after you do your color studies, which I'll show you. I have another form of the Fabriano Chromia. They have a different color selection, very similar paper. But I'm gonna go in with my next darkest color. Add some of this up here. Finding those dark shadows that are not quite black. And since I'm mostly monochromatic with this color scheme, the differentiation is going to be with those values, and I can switch between those browns, oranges, and yellows. Another question?
Yes. Marianne on Facebook is wondering, do you blend with when using these pastels, and like what is the best way?
Yes, so there are a couple different ways. I'm not blending with these right now because I really like the softness of just laying it on there and tapping off the pigments. You can use pastel brushes, and there's pastel sponges. It really depends on the type of blending you want. Those pastel sponges are going to be really soft and really blend those pigments together. While those brushes, it kind of just brushes the pigment to the side. It still blends, it just has a different, very slightly different look. Alright, I'm going in with the same sky color because I really enjoy that really light cream color. But I think I'm going to blend it into more of a yellow this time. And I'm just doing 2 color studies for each mood. You can do 6, you can do 4, you can keep going and going until you feel like you got the perfect combination. But color studies are, they're not only fun, but they're super helpful. Alright, again, I'm gonna lighten up the top of the sky. Keeping my boat kind of orange. I really love that highlight along that top edge of the boat. Alright, now for my mountains, I think I'm going to make that the most vibrant. So I'm going to go in for this nice orange I had from the other one. It's going to have enough of a differentiation between the browns that I'm going to put into the trees and the yellows of the sky. And again, there is that gradation, so I'm going to go in with a darker orange along the top. Now I'm already feeling like I like one more than the other, but I'm going to keep going. It's always good to see what they look like in the end. Really like these browns in the tree line, in the trees. Alright. I'm going to call this color study done. Might add in just a little bit more of this nice, almost fluorescent yellow into another spot. Probably put it into these highlights. Okay, so those are my 2 color studies for Ethereal. I do feel like that brown doesn't really fit with what I feel is Ethereal, and I think this blue and orange combination, I feel like that fits Ethereal more. So if I were to decide between these 2, I'd probably lean towards this one. Now we're gonna move into Whimsical, which was our second place vote. I'm gonna keep the white out here. Put these back. Now again, with the word association, I think of like fireflies and like a wooded like walkway in the dark, lots of purples and lavender. So when I think of Whimsical, I think of greens and purples. So I'm definitely gonna lean towards that for the Whimsical. I also think of like fantasy and playful. So I'm going to lean towards more saturated, fun colors for this one. But I don't want to go too saturated, so I'll probably keep it kind of soft to keep it into the fantasy softness realm. Have another question?
Yes. Kathy's wondering if you could tell us a little more about the paper. Is it sanded? And then how many about layers will it hold?
It is not sanded. It is a really nice texture though. I would say, I haven't tested how many layers it holds, but I would say it holds up pretty well to multiple layers. We can definitely push it for some of these studies or the final drawing if we really want to see what that looks like. Okay, so purples. I know I want a nice variation of purples. I'll start with that. Maybe a nice light blue. And then I really like, I always think of like a neutral warm green. So I'm gonna pop that in there. Maybe this kind of greenish brown, keeping it in the natural realm. And then maybe just a touch of pink. Maybe I'll throw just a little bit of pink in there. I feel like that feels a little whimsical. So let's go ahead and jump in with our first color study. Again, same thing, starting with that darkest color in those blacks. You can also plan out if you know you want your water to be a specific color. You can pick your darkest color based on what the color of the water you want it to be. And since I am going for a nice deep purple for that shadow, I think I am going to keep into that blue for the sky and water. And that is pretty light, so that works out well value-wise. Now, I would also like, if I were doing this and I wanted to test out different papers, you could also do your color studies on different colored papers. But I wanted to kind of keep it in one sheet for this, for you guys. But if I had a little bit more time, I had bigger color studies to work with, I would probably have multiple colored sheets so I can see what the same color scheme that I like looks like on different papers. Again, that really nice gradient going to this nice periwinkle. And the best part about pastels is you can use it just straight as the block. You can also mix your colors. So I'm going to do that at the bottom here. I'm going to make it just slightly darker at the bottom of my gradation here, just by lightly blending this into that color I have. You can also soften your shadows Doing the same thing. All right. Now for the pink, I think the only place I really want to put the pink is, I love this highlight on the boat. So it might be a little funky looking, but value-wise, it works. So I'm gonna go for it. And that's what's fun about color studies as well, is you can take risks just to see what something looks like. It's not your final image. Now again, I'm going to lighten up my sky just a little bit. I do want it to feel more like it's closer to nighttime, so keep things a little dark. I have these two greens, so I'll probably stick to green to my greenery area. Have another question?
Yeah. Eric would like to know if it's just natural artistic instincts to know which colors pair well together, or if there's like anything you can do to help you gain that eye.
I think for me it's mostly practice. Doing multiple color studies like this is going to help you figure out what colors do look good together. If you're just learning how to pair your colors, you might need more than 2 color studies. The more you make your color schemes, color combinations, the more you're going to know what works well together. Another thing is using a color wheel. I know we all hear about it, we all know about it. Knowing the color schemes that are most used helps you if you're just learning. So monochromatic, using colors that are all the same, different values. Analogous is going to be colors next to each other on the color wheel. Those always look really nice together. Complementary colors usually look really good together, so opposite of the color wheel. There's split complements where it's opposite of the color wheel, but it kind of splits on one end. But knowing those is really going to help if you're learning how to put colors together. So that's definitely in my mind as I'm picking colors. So this one over here is going to be like a split complement, maybe more of a straight complement color scheme. This one is going to be more analogous, where purple, blue, and green are right next to each other on the color wheel. So knowing those things is definitely going to help. Great question though, thank you. Alright. And since I don't have a really nice bright color, I'm going to lean into this periwinkle for my highlights, I think. Alright. And for my mountains, I'm definitely going to lean into that purple. I like having this darkness down here kind of balanced out on the top. So go in with that purple. I'm already loving this color combination.
Those purples are so pretty.
Oh yes.
They pop on that color.
Oh yeah. Alright. And again, if I want more of that gradation, I can go in with a white if I don't have another purple. And just slightly lighten up where it touches the greenery. I do have to fill in that boat, so maybe I'll go in. Oh wait, I didn't even realize I had this lilac color. Alright. Fill this in to the boat here. Add those shadows, and then I'll call this color study done. Alright, so I'm really liking that color study. I really like that combination of colors. So maybe I'll stick with this color scheme. I I might switch out this pink though. Maybe for more, maybe a deep red, magenta. I'll throw another very similar one in there. And I just want to switch it out, see what different color combination looks like. So I still really enjoy that blue sky. I'll stick with that. I feel like my viewers are very happy people. And I say that because the 3 moods you voted for are all very happy. And not to say that I don't love the ones that you've chosen, but I was really hoping for something spooky, something less bright and happy.
That'll be in October.
Yeah, I'm feeling Summerween right now. Alright. Now, maybe I will have, I'm thinking either the boat or the mountains be more of that pink or that deep magenta. I think I'm gonna go for the boat. Have that pop out in the color scheme. And I do need a highlight for the lip of my canoe. Maybe I will keep that pink in there. Just for the lip of the canoe. Again, keeping in mind what that value is as I'm working, knowing that if I'm adding a color along the lip of my canoe, that has to be the brightest color in my canoe. If I'm adding color into anything in the background, the lightest color has to be the sky, and the mountains have to be darker. All right. I think I like the mountains staying purple. I'm gonna do that. I think I'm gonna keep everything the same except for the canoe and see how that feels. Amanda, are you enjoying my purples?
I wasn't gonna say anything, but you know that this is right up my alley.
Okay. And I was thinking about changing the shadow color, but I think I'm gonna keep it the same.
Now, how much dust are these producing while you're sketching with them?
There's a decent amount of dust. I'm gonna tap it off, but I'll let you see the dust that's on there. It's not a crazy amount, but it is enough where you can see it if you look up close. Definitely tap it off as you go because, I mean, this is for the color studies, so I'm not worried too much about it. But if you're working on your final image, tapping it off regularly is going to help you see what actual color that is instead of piles of dust on the surface. But yeah, not a crazy amount. Staying with those greens and my greenery. And I will say, when I was first considering these colors, I did do one color study for each mood, just so I already knew or had an idea of the theme of colors I wanted to go for. If I thought of something and I wanted to change the color, I would layer a new color on top, it did affect it. It did mix with the color underneath, but I was still able to see and layer that color on top a decent amount. Again, it is going to mix with the color underneath, but I was able to change colors in my color studies if I really wanted to just work on one image. And if you're going for something naturalistic, layering those colors a lot is going to help with that natural earthy color that you might be going for. Alright, and then staying with this blue in my highlights. How are we feeling? Do we like the magenta canoe or the purple canoe? I think I like the purple better. If I wanted to balance this out more, I could add some pink into my mountains, maybe in that highlight area. That will help the eye connect from the bottom to the top. Maybe if I just wanted to have this purple lean more red. Alright, so I think I'm done with the Whimsical. Again, let me know what you're thinking as we go. If you like one of these color studies the most already, put it in the chat. We're going to work on a Summery, words today, I don't know what it is. A Summery mood, which again, sticking with the same reference photo, different color combinations. These are all already looking very different. Forgetting where these go. Alright, and when I think of summer, I think of bright green grass, I think of heat, I think of a beach ball. So to me that reads very saturated, very bright, very warm. So I'm going to look at brightly saturated colors, and I'm going to lean towards warm colors, so reds, yellows, and oranges. So more saturated, I'm going to go for these poppy colors. I like to have a light and a dark if I can. Go for some bright, deep reds. I really like this kind of English red. Alright, and then maybe like a deep kind of complement, so more of a green. This makes me think of summer grass, so I think I'm going to add that in there too. So that's going to be my Summery color scheme in that realm. So I'm going to go for a sunset and add as many colors into the sky as I can. Have that be my focus. Go in with some yellow. I'm going to shift over so y'all can see. On TikTok. All right. Nice gradation in the sky. I am going to adjust it a little bit. I'm going to switch into deeper yellow. In my other gradations, I was adding 2 or 3 colors. Since I want this to be a larger gradation, I'm gonna add just a few more. I only had 1 color in the sky. We're gonna have 2 up there. Blend that into an orange. I think that shadow is gonna be that nice deep red color, which works perfectly. Going into a deeper orange. And that shadow will be that nice deep red.
That gradient is so nice.
Thank you.
Like fire.
Right? Very warm. Oh, it looks so vibrant on the, it's almost fluorescent. Okay. Now I know I want my mountains and my trees to not be in that warm realm. So I'm going to go for my greens over there. Perfect light, medium, dark here. Probably lean towards blue in my mountains. Probably just do this in white for the gradation in my mountains. Don't want to draw too much focus. And since it is further back than my greenery along the horizon, adding blue to that green is going to push it further back. Since there is more, I don't exactly know the science behind it, but I know air has, it's there. The more air there is, the more blue the object appears. Alright, maybe I'll just add a touch along the top here. I like that dark top. Alright. And then super green in the horizon. Love this bright green. And maybe if I want to pop it up even more along the green, I'll go in with a bright yellow. Alright. And then our canoe. I think for balance, I want the canoe to be more in that green realm. So I think I'm going to go in. Block the whole thing in. All right. Now I might choose something different for this one down here. Maybe I'll go for just a classic landscape color for a really nice bright blue sky and really nice bright poppy greens. So let's add in a favorite part, that lip of the canoe. Maybe lighten up my sky a little bit more. I don't want that to be the lightest part. The sky is lighter than that highlight. Blend it in with my green. Alright. I feel like that feels pretty summery. Let's jump into something completely different. I do want to keep this green. I do want to keep this yellow. Try something different. More poppy greens. It's too similar. Maybe I'll go for a deep blue for the darkest parts of my green areas. Then I'll go in with super bright blue sky. And then, do I want, I think I'm going to keep the boat brown. More of a warm, neutrally oranges. There we go. Okay. So more naturalistic, daytime, summer look. All right. Now, gonna keep that sky blue. All right, and as we are finishing up this last one, I do want you all to choose which one of these color studies is your favorite, so that I know which one. Oh, I colored in my mountains. That's fine.
They're just shorter mountains.
I'll just add a little bit of blue in my mountains. It's fine. All right. So that we know which one of these we want to do on a large piece.
Can you remind us which one is which?
Yes, so over here on the end, we have Ethereal. In the middle, we have Whimsical. And then on the end, we have Summery. And I'm realizing we might not have a lot of time. So I will start it live, and I will finish it for you guys later if I don't finish, which I'm feeling, I don't know if I'll be able to finish a large one in 15 minutes, but I will do my best.
Got this.
Thank you. Alright. You know what? I need an even darker color. So I'm just going to combine this blue with that deep orangey red. Having those complements mixed together makes a nice dark neutral color. Cool. Alright. Now the mountains, I need to bring those back. Which actually this works nice because I wanted them to look different than the greens I put along the horizon. This will make them appear more blue. And then this will be a really nice poppy green. I'll go in with that yellow for the highlights. Okay. Maybe I'll add just a little bit more blue into my mountains. Okay, now we have our boat. I'm gonna go in with those oranges. Okay. Do we have any winners yet? What are we thinking on?
Facebook is overwhelmingly going for Whimsical, specifically the bottom one. They all want you to know.
This one? Okay. I like the pink boat.
There are several votes for Summer as well.
Okay.
But Whimsical is winning.
Sweet.
I'm trying to tally up ours over here. It looks like Summer is the winner by just a few.
Oh man. Seems close. Okay.
And
So-
specifically the first Summer one.
The first summer one, so it's between these two. Alright, if you have voted for any of the other ones, it is now in between the Whimsical with the magenta boat and the Fluorescent Sunrise in Summery. So I'm going to pull out my papers, and I'll just get my drawing started by blocking in that color scheme. Now, if I were to choose the Whimsical, I feel like this lavender color I like the orange, or maybe the yellow for the Summery. Maybe, no. Okay. Now I did have, while you guys are still voting, I did do one more drawing on the Fabriano Chromia. This is the same type of paper, slightly different, has a slightly different, softer tooth, but I wanted to show you that you can get different colors in the same type of paper. This one in particular came in the 20 by 26 sheet, which I have down here, but I'm not going to pull it out. And I like cutting it down to whatever size I need. But do we like Summery or Whimsical? Any new votes?
I think Summer came back and won on Facebook.
Yeah?
Summer for sure.
All right, Summer it is.
Although I would like to say that you can make me that Whimsical bottle one anytime you want.
Okay, you got it. Okay, now I'm going to do this super quick. I'm glad I kept these colors out. I'm feeling teal?
Huh? The teal one.
I don't have teal. I don't have teal.
The teal top one.
Oh, I'm definitely doing the teal top one. Okay. I think I'm gonna go for the orange.
Orange.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Orange. Let's block this in. I had that nice bright yellow sky blending into, and you'll already see as I lay down these same colors on a different paper, it's going to have another slightly different mood. You'll want to think about the colors that you put on top, so a color that is either similar to the colors you're adding, or if you want something to be toned down, having a complementary color. If I wanted them to be super similar to what I put down, I might have put down the yellow paper, but I feel like this orange is going to be really nice. It's going to warm up everything. And again, you can put in quite a few layers, and I don't have too much time, but I do want to finish this. So I will post it on our Jerry's Live Facebook group. If you do not know about our Jerry's Live Facebook group, definitely join. You can find us Jerry's Live, and you'll have to make sure you answer that one security question in order to get in. I'm gonna keep this pretty light. I'm glad you guys chose the Summery one because I love this sunset. I'm going to tap this off.
Michaela, would it work for you to have your studies on the other side? Your picture-in-picture is blocking them.
Oh, yes.
And they can see how you translate it into the big one. Thank you.
Of course. Now, let me get rid of colors I'm not using. right, I will also add in my drawing if you wanted to try out the specific drawing with your own moods. I have my full drawing, and I also have the 6 color studies if you want to do it that way. Going into my lighter orange.
Now, with this first layer, if you're trying to kind of remove the texture of that paper, would blending this first layer help, or would you wait until maybe later?
You can definitely blend this. I like laying everything down and then slowly building it up. I can blend with my finger. I wouldn't always recommend. Here, I got a little rag. Just so you can see, it is going to pick up some of that pigment a little bit, but that's going to be where that layering comes in. If you use a sponge, it's going to be a little bit softer. But yeah, I like to hold off on blending once I have everything kind of placed in their spot. Yes?
Now, do pastels work light to dark like watercolor, or does it matter which order you lay them down?
I like to do light to dark. I guess it really depends on what exactly you're doing. Excuse me. The lighter colors are going to be harder to put on top of the darker colors. Darker colors are going to be easier to put on top of the light. I like to make sure that my bright whites or very light colors are put in their place, and I don't touch it after that. But having a plan for that is always good. Now, this color of the paper is where I'm at with my gradation, so I don't have to worry too much on filling that in super well. I'm gonna go in with that red. Really nice deep red in the shadow in the water. And the harder you press down, the more that pigment is going to sit into those crevices. The Fabriano Tiziano does have more of that texture to it than the Chromia does. So if you're not a fan of the texture of the paper, you can definitely go for something that has less of that large tooth. All right. Tap this off again. And since I'm not able to go into too much detail with our time limit today, it is going to be nice just to see how those colors change depending on what you put this pastel on top of. All right, and then I had the teal mountains. Wow, that's vibrating, those two colors. I don't know if, is that vibrating for you guys too? Looking really close where that teal and the orange.
You can go a few more minutes if you want.
Okay. Hurts my
We
eyeballs.
won't be sad.
In my mind, I had enough time to do all the color studies and a full drawing. And then I looked up and I was like, oh, we're almost done.
Time flies when you do art.
Mm-hmm. get into those crevices. Oh man, my eyeballs. Okay. I think I am going to do a spooky color study just for myself. Because I really am feeling summery now, especially that we're doing Summery canoe.
The teal with that orange is just so good.
Oh, yes. Alright. Tap that off and add a gradient. Do we have any more questions while I finish this up?
I think we're all just kind of oohing it on right now.
If you guys do follow along or do your own color studies, definitely post it to that Facebook group I mentioned. We love seeing what you guys post, especially when it's with something that we make for Jerry's Live.
Speaking of the Facebook group,
Mhm.
Derek on YouTube has officially requested you post this spooky color study over there.
Yes, okay, I shall. You guys are giving me lots of homework.
You did ask for it when you said,
I
I'm sad
know.
they didn't pick spooky.
I mean, I was gonna do it anyway.
I think we also had somebody ask for a monochromatic one, didn't they?
Yes, someone on Facebook was asking if you could do it in grays to just show
Grayscale.
like.
Oh yeah, I was hoping for, I had a vintage mood on there, and I was picturing like sepia toned color scheme for that. Alright, now let's add, I have these bright greens.
Listen, I'm sure no one is going to object if you do one for all of the options.
Well, let's
But
not
follow
get
your
too
heart
crazy
on
here. Yeah, I don't know. It's a lot of moods. I will do spooky though, because I did want to do spooky.
It reminds me of how, like in, like journaling, specifically like bullet journaling, you'll see a lot of people do like mood of the day or whatever. You could just like pick one picture and do how your moods are going throughout each day.
Yeah.
Today I felt spooky.
I feel like I feel spooky every day. In my heart. It is kind of fun letting some of that paper pop through. Alright. Getting really dark over here. Can everyone see? I don't think you guys can see over here. Here we go. Alright. I love doing these reflections. They're so fun. Okay. I don't know if you guys can see, but there's teeny tiny little house along the horizon there. And I think he's so cute. I'm gonna make him yellow. He needs to be seen. Here we go. Alright, I'm just going into those highlights and the greenery now. Again, having 3 different values of the same color is going to help when you are working with creating crazy color scheme changes. Having those value ranges. Sound effects are important. Okay. And then I have my boat. Oh, I didn't fill in. I have this little tiny corner of a dock or something over here. I also have little leaves in the water. Make those green. I'll go for oranges over here. And that deep red. Alright. Now, as I finish up laying down these colors, you can see how this mood changes just a little bit between these two, where the orange really livens up those colors, makes it feel very bright, where this tan color makes the colors feel a little bit softer. So knowing what you're putting these pastels on is really going to create just a slightly different feel to it. I know there's science behind this too. I don't know. It's the color that's underneath is still going to refract those light, whatever, particles. So you're still going to just barely see what's under there. Even if you completely cover it up, it's going to affect the colors you put on top. Alright, and I definitely will work on this for you guys. I'll do my spooky study. I'll make sure that I post that drawing I did in case you guys wanted to do this as well. Now, there is something really subtle in this reference photo that I wasn't able to add when I was doing the color studies. But there is just a slight reflection between the boat and the shadow down here. So I'm going to just take my white and add a little bit of that there. And then I had that nice light teal along here, starting with the white first. Oh, so satisfying. Alright. Alright, now we have our Summery canoe all blocked in. And we're gonna call that, whoop, I'm gonna call that good for today. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I had a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you try it yourself. But I'm going to head off. Don't forget, check out that Facebook group if you are not a part of it, and don't forget that security question. And next week, I will be here again, and we're going to have a very special guest who is going to introduce us to oils. So definitely tune back in for that. And thanks for coming. Bye. I'll see you next week.